I'm Megan Brand. I'm a twin flame relationship coach, and I am in union with my twin flame. And I'm here to talk about how you can tell if someone is truly your twin flame. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've seen so many people in Facebook groups listing off all these external circumstances that they think may or may not fit this criteria of a twin flame relationship, and asking other people, is this my twin flame? Help me. I need to know. Is this my twin flame? It's important to me. And the problem with this is you will get a bunch of, if this is you, if you've seen this, you'll know, a bunch of different people with different opinions saying, yes, this is your twin flame because here's what I see. Or no, this is your twin flame because here's what I see. And sometimes there's people saying, yeah, it's your twin flame, or no, it's not, or it could be, or it might be, or probably, based on some of the same information. And there's a danger to that. And that's why I'm making this video. So first thing I want to say about the subject is that it's better. So first of all, to know if it's your twin flame, first of all, it is a knowing, it is a recognition, it is an energetic pull. It is not an overthinking, overlabeling, overdoing assumptions. And for that reason, it is always better for you to know if you've met someone, you have a knowing of them, you recognize them on a deeper level, you have a pull towards them. You then later learn about twin flames and you recognize, this is my twin flame. That is the most common, accurate way. However, if that's not you, let's say you learned about twin flames first. Let's say you're someone who learned about twin flames, really wanted to meet your twin flame, really thought, this is the relationship I want. And so you search and search and search. And the trouble with this is that by doing this, you are usually misinterpreting external signs of whether someone's your twin flame. You're making leaps, you're making assumptions. You're seeing certain dynamics in this relationship that you think is a twin flame dynamic, but in reality, this dynamic can show up in other types of relationships. And now, if you are in that situation, it doesn't mean you can't know. It's just that I'm going to expand a little bit and say, yes, it's a knowing, it's a recognition, it's a pull. But the bottom line to know is to ask your highest self, to go within, to connect with your highest self on a spiritual level, is what I'm going to say, or creator, and ask, because you're either going to get confirmation or you're going to get something saying, you're going to get an answer that says, no, this isn't it. And that is the bottom line. And I'm 3 minutes in. I could stop this video right here because that's all you need to know. But I'm going to elaborate on inaccurate methods and why they're inaccurate, and why it's better to go with this knowing, recognition, pull, confirming with your highest self, confirming with creator, source energy, whatever you identify with, it's best for you. Because, so I'm going to go into that. So first of all, here are the three things I see most commonly associated with twin flames that people commonly use to either confirm someone is their twin flame or not, and why they're not accurate. First of all, psychic. Psychics are still human, and not all psychics are legit, and some of the most gifted psychics can still kind of get vague information and not have a good enough, sure enough answer for you. So nothing against psychics. Technically, I'm a psychic. I channel information, and I have other abilities that I don't do as part of my business necessarily. But it's just not necessarily the best avenue to rely on another human being, even if you believe them to be a psychic. And I've known some psychics that I believe can give accurate readings, but because there's so much risk of error, it's not the best way to go. Okay, the second one is the runner-chaser dynamic. So something to understand about the runner-chaser dynamic is it is very energetic, Okay, so some people may see the runner-chaser dynamic as the situation where you talk, and then the runner just ghosts for a little while. And then you talk, and ghosts for a while. But something that has been misinterpreted about this runner-chaser dynamic is that it only exists in that physical sense, and that's just not true. So a true runner-chaser dynamic on an energetic level, even if you're in physical union, you can have the runner-chaser dynamic, and it doesn't mean, oh, they went to their parents for the week. It can mean on an energetic level that there's a pull away because one of you has started pushing with your energy. And then it might go back and forth, and it's more on an energetic level. And so when we start getting into the runner-chaser dynamic and saying, oh, this is for sure your twin flame, this is not an accurate method. And here's another point about this, is that there is something called anxious attachment and avoidance attachment. When we are wounded, we can develop a way of being codependent or clingy, or being that very anxious attacher where we're seen as a chaser. A lot of feminine energy women tend to be that way. So even if you are let's say you're the chaser in your twin flame dynamic, it wouldn't be uncommon that you would have had this dynamic in previous relationships that were not twin flame relationships. So I used to be that way. Before I met my twin flame, I was married. And before I was married, in my early adult years, I felt this need to have a boyfriend, and I hopped and hopped and hopped and hopped. And I was a very anxious attacher, which was interesting because by the time I had met my twin flame and gone through divorce, well, that was in process, I was not an anxious attacher anymore. I didn't need a man to fill a void, and therefore I wasn't an anxious attacher for the whole relationship, although I had anxious attachment issues sometimes when it came to being in that said relationship, and that, which is even more interesting because in the beginning of our dynamic, he was the chaser. I was the runner. So even though I had anxious attachment issues, sometimes I wasn't the chaser. I have another friend who I won't name, but she tended to be an anxious attacher in her relationships. So I had two relationships before meeting my twin flame. One was my ex-husband, and one was my first love. And I was an anxious attacher in that relationship, very codependent. Needed to be around them all the time. It was not healthy. That didn't make them my twin flame. And similar things can be said about someone who has avoidance attachment issues. So let's say you've gone through wounds and you don't trust people, and so someone starts to love you. You don't feel like you're deserving of this love, and you're like, I'm gonna go this way, or this love's too intense, I'm gonna go this way. That happens outside of the twin flame dynamic. It can. So while the runner chaser dynamic is truly existent in many twin flame relationships, on an energetic level, I also don't even know, to be honest, if it's a requirement, because if you went through all the wounds or all the healing in your life and you didn't have the anxious attachment, avoidance attachment, neither of you did, you might not even have a runner chaser dynamic. I've known twin flame couples that said they never had it. So it's not a good indicator. Another third and last one I'll mention, so I'd like to keep this short and sweet, is saying or acknowledging toxic or triggering behaviors, or having triggers with their twin flame. And I've seen it both ways. I've seen people use this as a way of saying, yeah, this is your twin flame, this is what happens. And I've seen people use this as a way of saying, this can't be your twin flame because your twin flame would never cheat on you. Well, I'm sorry, but triggering behaviors and toxic behaviors look different in everyone depending on their wounds and how they cope with them. And there is just no black and white they'd never hurt you scenario. There's just not. That's kind of the point. Like, if you expect to meet your twin flame and you say, we are supposed to have unconditional love from the get-go and never have problems with it, that's a twin flame. And then you disappoint each other and it's not unconditional, and you say, well, they can't be my twin flame anymore. Be really careful about that, because you're still human in these 3D bodies. You're not going to be perfect. Yeah, when you're channeling that love the way it is meant to be, it is unconditional. But it won't necessarily start out that way. It depends on what you're here in this life and the contracts you have to fulfill to grow and heal. So, hopefully that makes sense. By the way, the thing about toxic behaviors and triggering behaviors, I'm making as a side note. I do not support staying with your twin flame just because they're your twin flame if they are crossing boundaries that hurt you, like physical abuse or any type of abuse as you see it, cheating, whatever it is. There's a time and a place for boundaries, and I've heard other twin flame leaders say, there's no boundaries with twin flames. Yeah, ideally, no, there's not, because energetically you're one, but in the 3D, sometimes it's necessary. So it's all individual basis here. Anyway, I hope that you got value out of this. Thank you for watching. Please like, share if it's appropriate, subscribe, and if you would like to connect or talk more, check out the information below. And if you would like, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also look below to find out information on how to find me on Facebook, because on my Facebook business page is where I put the rest of my content, and we'll be putting the rest of my content as I expand it. So thanks again. Talk to you soon.